Hey guys, so in a previous episode we were discussing about being self-sufficient, and I showed you where my water pump went bad and spoiled. So today we're going to continue that discussion, and we're going to get a little deeper into the entire water filtration system that I use here. So stay tuned and we'll get into that as soon as I return on the Eric McNeil Be Free Show.
Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Hey guys, so welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining us, I want to thank you, and you've just discovered the Eric McNeil Be Free Show, where we talk about being financially independent, responsible for self, enjoying life, and empowering others. So right here, I'm going to switch the camera around so I can show you what I'm talking about. So on a previous episode, we talked about the water pump that went bad. So what I did was I actually took the switch off the water pump, and you can actually see I actually grabbed, there's a circuit board that's in this water pump, and now I'm not an electrician by any stretch of the imagination, but I can read enough just to be dangerous, you know. So, and we can all do that. We can go and read and research on the internet to try and fix things instead of just throwing things away and buying new things, you know, at a moment's notice, trying to fix things. So anyway, the first pump that went bad, I replaced it because I had no idea what was going on. But this time, when the new pump I purchased a couple months ago went bad, I had an idea that it was indeed the moisture leaking in. So what I did is I took the first pump apart, and you can see that the board is fried. And so the new pump, I took it apart. And what I did, there's this switch, and I actually took my soldering iron and just took this little switch off. And basically what it does is it actually it starts and it becomes magnetized, and it creates a circuit to turn on the pump so that the water will come in. So so basically what I'm going to do, since I'm going to have to replace, I thought I would be able to dry it out and it would work, but it still doesn't work. So I'll have to replace this switch again. But in the meantime, what I'll do is just bypass this. So I've just connected, actually I'm going to take you to the back and actually show you what I've done. Okay. Alright guys, so anyway, I'm back at the back of the house where we got the pump and the switch. So you can see that I put the switch back, but the switch doesn't have the circuit board in it. So what I've done, if you can see that, I just bypassed that entire circuitry so that I temporarily have a fix, which is, you know, again, just to bypass the entire circuit board. So basically, I'm just connecting the pump essentially directly to the power outlet. And so what'll happen, the disadvantage of this is that it's not automatic. Like the switch allows it to be automatic so that whenever I cut my faucets on, then it automatically starts the pump. And when I cut the faucets off, then the switch tells the pump to cut off. Now when I bypass the circuitry, what it's going to do is the pump, as soon as it has power, the pump will come on and stay on. And so basically what I'll have to do is when I need water at the faucets, I just cut that particular circuit breaker on that this particular outlet is connected to. And when I need it to stop, I have to cut that circuit breaker off. So that's my temporary fix until I can get a new switch out here and get it installed. So the thing about it is, if you're going to be self-sufficient, you have to have some, you have to have patience and some perseverance. Like, you know, in the U.S., we'd be like, oh, God, I got to go get that switch, like, right now. You know, it just doesn't work like that. If you want to be self-sufficient, things don't work like that, because you'll be so dependent on others. If you have to do it, it's got to be fixed just like that, you know, like that. You know, if the sky is always falling for you, then I'm going to tell you, you'll have a hard time out here. So, you know, I'll get by like that, you know, for a week or so until I can get this switch replaced. But anyway, let me swing the camera back around here. I can never tell if the camera is, if it's too light or if it's dark. So hopefully you guys can see me. I'm going to try and turn around so that you guys can actually see me. Alright, so basically what I want to show you here is, alright, so behind me are my two water tanks. So you can see the water tanks behind me. Or actually, I probably just better point at them. Alright, so let's talk about how this whole operation works, because some people were asking me exactly to explain this water filtration system and the water system in a little more detail. So I'm going to try to give you a little detail about how this entire operation works here. So what I'll do is I'm going to walk over here to the actual well, and I'll show you where we start at. And I'll try to hear a kitty barking at some of the ladies that are trying to sell the boys some items. Alright, so I've showed this in a previous video, but this is where the water originates from. This is the well, or as we call it here, a borehole. And this borehole goes down approximately 250 feet. So it's drilled into the ground approximately 250 feet down. And so the truck comes up here and drills it, and it hits the aquifer. Now, if it dries up, you know, that's the only time we would be without water, is if this dries up. As long as we have water in the aquifer, then we are good to go. And it's when and if that we dry up, we're going to have problems. Then what they'll have to do is the truck will have to come and drill again and try to hit another aquifer. But, you know, hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But anyway, there's this huge pump, and it's very heavy and long. That it's called a submersible pump, and that huge pump is, you know, at the bottom, and it sucks the water up. So that's one place where we could potentially have a failure. And I've had to replace that pump since I've been here. So I've replaced that pump once, and we had to pull it out. Me and I had a worker here, and we pulled it out, and I replaced it. So at any rate, I'm gonna walk, and you can see how far the poly tanks or the water tanks are from. So it's a nice little distance. So I'm going to walk over here toward that. So the water is pumped over here to the tanks. Now, as we get closer to these tanks, you can see that the water is straight from the well. So this is how the water comes. Good morning. So the water is pumped directly into the large tank, and that tank is approximately double the capacity of the smaller tank that you see at the front. And now you see that the large tank, it sits higher up than the smaller tank, and that's on purpose. So what was happening, initially we didn't have the large tank. We only had this small tank, and we were trying to send the water directly to these filters. So that was the initial setup. The water came from the borehole to these filters, and then we pump it into this small tank here. And now the problem was that the water was not passing the test. When I took the water to be tested, it didn't pass. It had high levels of iron, high levels of manganese. When you have these high levels of iron and manganese and various things in your water, you can see that the water, you know, is brown, and it's actually staining your toilets and sinks. So I went and figured out from my research that the problem was that once we pumped that water from the borehole to these filters, it was hitting these filters too quickly. It didn't have time, the water didn't have time enough to oxidize. That means it didn't have enough time to mix with the air so that it could actually turn brown. So initially, the guy who set this up, he kept saying, "Oh, you just need another filter. You didn't." He said, "Yo, you just need more filtration," and none of that worked. So I had to research and figure out what was going on. So in the end, yeah, I only needed this one filter. So basically, what I did is I said, okay, so if the water needs time to oxidize, then it needs a storage point. We need to send it not directly to these filters, but we need to have another water tank that we send it to, and it sits in that tank for a while, and then it goes into the final tank that we want to drink from. So that's what we did. We rerouted the water so that it comes into this tank, and through gravity, through the pressure, once we fill this tank, because it sits higher than this tank, you know, water always wants to reach level. So the water in here, once it comes, it wants to reach level, so it'll come and fill up here. So that's what we did. So we allow gravity, as gravity fed, so it just gravity down. So we pump it up in here, poof, and it comes down at the bottom, and it comes out, goes underground to a pipe, and that pipe goes through these filters. You can see the pipe coming up. So you can see the pipe coming up, and then it goes through all three of these filters, and then it goes back underground, and then it comes up in through this particular poly tank, or this water tank. And all of that happens through gravity. No pumps needed for that, because water wants to seek level, so it wants to get as high as the water here. So then that's no moving parts there. So it's very simple, and by the time it reaches these filters, the water has had plenty of time to oxidize. It mixes with the air, it turns brown. So now the filters can do what they were designed to do. So once the water filters in here, it comes into this water tank, and it's ready to drink. I can take the water from here, have it tested, and it tests fine now. So anyway, I had mentioned that one of the changes that if I could I would make in the future would be to get rid of this pump, right? Because think about in the U.S., you don't have a pump in the back of your house, but why do you have the good water pressure? It's because you have these water towers that are in the city, in the community, and those water towers sit way, way, way above the rest of the actual buildings. And that's filtered water up in those water towers, so once you turn your faucet on, it just, you know, it's just gravity fed down to your actual faucet from those water towers. So you always have good, strong pressure. So what I would do, and I thought about, okay, maybe if I got rid of this pump, then we could raise this poly, one of these water tanks. But the problem here is that if I tried to just, if I just had this one water tank and I didn't have it going through these filters, then I could do that. But the problem here with my setup is that if I wanted to do it, I would have to raise both of these, right? I would have to raise both of these, but not only that, I would also have to raise these filters, right? Because of my particular setup, I can't just raise this one tank here. So, you know, it'd have to be both, and then it'd have to be these filters. I would have to raise them up way high on some kind of platform on a tower up there, so that, you know, you could still get this filtration going on, but then after it's filtered, then it comes down and you have the water pressure. Now, the other option that I thought about too, which is I think the best course of action, is to actually purchase yet a third water tank. Leave these two water tanks here, and you'd have to purchase a third water tank. Now, but the problem there too is you wouldn't be able to just get rid of this pump, right? Because if you purchase a third water tank and you raise that up, then once the water reaches this particular water tank, you would still need a way to pump it up to the third water tank. And then from there you can let gravity take over. So you really, in this situation, the pump is the best option, you know, unless somebody can tell me a better method than what we currently have. I think the pump is the best option. But anyway, that is all a part of being self-sufficient. Like, if you're going to be calling yourself self-sufficient, you better be ready to fix some stuff, troubleshoot some stuff, understand some stuff, and be patient about things that you're trying to accomplish, because it just doesn't, you know, happen instantly, right? You are in a different type of situation, a different type of environment. So, at any rate, that's what we're working on today. And one of the things that I encourage you, you know, like people living in the U.S., there's something I want to show you. I want to show you this. Let me I'm going to grab this. All right, so here's what I want to show you. This is the water test, and you can see that you take this to the Water Research Institute Environmental Chemistry Division, and they will take they will take this, and you hear all the noise out here. They're talking and working, so I'm just having to talk over them. So anyway, it takes about a week for them to go and test this water, and you take like maybe 2 liter bottles to them, full of your water, and they take about a week, and they'll test that water. So once that, so anyway, so once you take your water to these guys, it takes them about a week to test it, and they'll give you this report back, which is a couple pages, and it'll tell you the items in your water that passed and the items that didn't pass, and whether your water is okay to drink. Like for instance on here, it talks about, you know, the level, the acceptable levels of turbidity, the color, the odor, the pH level, the sodium, the potassium, the calcium, the magnesium, the total iron. So my water, you know, initially was coming back saying that, oh, you know, your magnesium levels are too high, your manganese level too high, the turbidity is too high. So like here's an old report where before we got it straightened out, it says manganese and turbidity values exceeded the WHO guideline values. However, the other physical, chemical constituents of the water sample are satisfactory. The water is therefore not suitable for potable use without treatment. Right? So now here's the thing. You say, okay, in the U.S., our water is being treated by the municipal authority, you know, the government, whomever. You just take for granted that your water is okay. Like, you know, I advise you, even if you believe your water is okay in the U.S., maybe go get your water tested and see. So, listen, here's the thing. You know, we just assume in the U.S. that our water is okay. You know, we don't go get any tests done, and they tell us we can drink it, and you tend to drink it. Now, I don't drink tap water in the U.S. You know, I've always, since I can remember, had a filter, been putting filters on my water. But many of you just drink the water as though it's okay. And I would advise against that. You remember in, I don't know, 2012-ish, 2014, you had this water crisis in Flint, Michigan. And they discovered, I guess, that there was iron and lead leaching into the water. And all of this stuff causes some serious problems with your health. But we just assume that the water we're drinking is okay because the authorities are giving it to us, and they wouldn't give us anything that can harm us, now would they? Wink, wink. Now, I don't know, that's just not smart to me. Like, you know, I know here, okay, I'm going to go get my water tested. And people might see, oh, you know, that's a lot you have to go through just to try and be self-sufficient. But really, you should be doing that even if you're not off the grid. I wouldn't trust nobody with my health and well-being like that. I don't trust you that much to believe that I can just put my health in your hands. So I'm going to filter my water. I don't even need it. I'm going to filter it, right? So that I know that the water is safe for me to drink. Other than that, I'm not drinking it, right? Because you had this whole water crisis in Michigan, and then you had the then President Barack Obama up there drinking water. Hey, it's safe. And you guys just believe that, you know. I mean, hey, you know, whatever. But I'm not believing nobody. I don't care what their title is. I'm just not going to believe that simply, you know. I want my water tested by an independent laboratory or something. And my suggestion to you guys is to have your water tested, or at the very least, go get you a filter. Get a filter, because when you have these high levels of iron and lead, manganese, that stuff causes all kind of mental problems. I mean, you know, it causes memory loss, Alzheimer's, impotence, all kind of kidney problems and heart failure. And this is why, you know, you look around at all the children now and they seem to have these high incidences of ADD, ADHD, Alzheimer's and old people, and you know, it's just a host, autism. I can go on with these various problems that people have now, and people tell you, oh, you just need to eat your vegan diet and you'll be okay. No, that's, you know, you shouldn't be getting all these problems like that, and a lot of it is how we live. And just the basic things, you know, like water, drinking the water, and just, you know, we're just in some terrible environments. So I would encourage you to take control of your own health. That's, you know, that's a crucial part of being self-sufficient. Just take control of your own health. Okay, so if you haven't already done so, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Like, share, comment. You know the routine. And you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/Eric McNeil. It's free. And as always, hoorah, ahuru. Now be free.